On today's episode of Locked On Oilers, what would you give up for Jakob Chychrun? We will talk about that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Oilers podcast. I am your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden. As mentioned on today's episode, we're going to start off with what you would give up for Jakob Chychrun and what is available for the Oilers to give up in a trade with the Arizona Coyotes for a potential Chychrun move. We will talk about that in just a second, but also on today's episode, we take a look at the last 9 games for the Edmonton Oilers and what has really spelled their success over their 8-0-1 stretch here, and some of the numbers may surprise you. We will also wrap up today's episode with the ghost of Oilers past, and this ghost gave up the ultimate sacrifice in a hockey game below the belt. That will be your only hint for today's episode. Thank you for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And where we are going to get started is with a little bit of trade talk, because there's no Oilers news really coming out today, so we thought we would make our own news, and that is with Jakob Chychrun. Recently, Jakob Chychrun scored 2 goals for the Arizona Coyotes, and Twitter was set ablaze. I also sent out a tweet yesterday, I believe, saying, man, is Oilers Twitter going to be disappointed when the Oilers don't get Jakob Chychrun? Now, that was also more of a coping mechanism for me as well. If the Oilers don't get Jakob Chychrun, that is me going, oh, guys, look, I called it all along. But if you've been listening to this show for a little while now, you know that I love Jakob Chychrun. I think he is the best possible option for the Edmonton Oilers. So, what do the Oilers have available in a trade for Jakob Chychrun? Now, I think this trade will happen at the deadline. I don't think this is going to happen any sooner. So, for everyone going, announce Chychrun, it's not going to happen until March 3rd. Now, with that being said, I'm going to already cross off one of the names on my list. Now, on this list, I have separated them into 3 different organizations or different topics here. The first one being a player's topic, the second one being a picks topic, and the third being a prospect topic. Now, for Jakob Chychrun, the rumor, I guess, for his recent rumor is what I was going to say, but the rumor for Jakob Chychrun, at least the price, is a player pick and a prospect. However, it does sound like Arizona is willing to take 2 first-round draft picks in a trade. That changes things. We will talk about that a little in a second as to why that is important. But back to one of the players I'm wiping off right away, and that is Jesse Puljujarvi. Kailer Yamamoto has to come back to the lineup on Sunday, which is the 12th, and that means the Edmonton Oilers, or at least he's slated to, and once he comes back to the lineup, the Edmonton Oilers have to clear up $3 million in cap space. Naturally, Jesse Puljujarvi has $3 million right there. The Edmonton Oilers, in a trade for Jesse Puljujarvi, or with Jesse Puljujarvi, could also bring back a player worth $1.125 million as well, or $1.225 million, excuse me. They could go that route, and I actually expect the Edmonton Oilers to do so on Sunday. So, I am taking Jesse Puljujarvi out of this lineup for now. However, let's just be trivial and let's talk about Puljujarvi. 49 games played, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points. That's not good enough. I don't care if you're the Arizona Coyotes looking for a player, anybody. I don't think that's going to be good enough for the Arizona Coyotes. With that being said, they also have Zach Kassian, who has 1 point so far this year, so maybe that's not necessarily out of the question. Now, I'm going to rattle off the rest of the players here, and we'll talk about who I think is most likely to be added in a Chychrun trade. Warren Foegele, who in 37 games, 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points. Derek Ryan, 49 games played, 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points. Wonder where we heard that before. Devin Shore, 29 games played, no goals, 3 assists, 3 points. And Tyson Barrie, 51 games played, 7 goals, 28 assists, 35 points. Now, you can also probably take out Devin Shore and probably Derek Ryan, especially with the play of Derek Ryan recently. He has really shown his value to the Edmonton Oilers lineup. So that would leave us with Warren Foegele or Tyson Barrie. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, and I think the Edmonton Oilers think this way too, you're not trading Tyson Barrie at all right now. He has been the Edmonton Oilers' probably most consistent defenseman all year, and you're not willing to give that up in a trade for a guy in Jakob Chychrun, who, as much as we praise Jakob Chychrun, has had injury issues in the past. You already have your solidifying defenseman of sorts in Tyson Barrie right there. I don't think you add him in a trade. And if you do, that already takes away either a prospect or a pick from Arizona, which is a team who is looking to build for the future, not for right now. I think Tyson Barrie is still an Edmonton Oiler. So that would mean Warren Foegele is the one player left. So let's remember that. Let's move on to the pick. So as mentioned, it sounds like a player pick and a prospect could be going the other way. However, the Arizona Coyotes are willing to allow 2 first-round picks. So the available picks for the Edmonton Oilers is a 2023 first-round pick, a 2023 second-round pick, a 2024 first-round pick and second-round pick, and a 2025 first-round pick. Now, they don't have a second-round pick in 2025. That pick was actually traded in the Zach Kassian deal, so pretty interesting deal there. But the Edmonton Oilers don't have that second-round pick in 2025, so they only have second-round picks in 2024 and 2023. Let's just throw that out right away. The Edmonton Oilers aren't going to move a second-round pick in this deal. It's going to be a first-round pick. We have Warren Foegele already on the board. The 2025 first-round pick is basically invaluable or doesn't have very much value to the Arizona Coyotes. So they're probably looking at that 2024 first and 2023 first. So right now, the deal would be Warren Foegele for the 2023 first and 2024 first. If you're Arizona, do you take that? Maybe not. But if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you certainly take that. But why do the Arizona Coyotes not take that deal? Well, because A, I don't think that value is really where they want it to be. But B, there's still a lot of prospects on the Edmonton Oilers side that the Coyotes might be looking at. So here are the prospects we have here in this tier. Philip Broberg, who has 25 games played in the NHL, no goals, 6 assists, 6 points. Dylan Holloway, who has played 47 games in the NHL, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. And then we get to the guys in the AHL. Xavier Bourgault, 43 games played, 10 goals, 11 assists, 21 points. Raphael Lavoie, who has 32 games played, 12 goals, 11 assists, 23 points. And Tyler Benson, 17 games played, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points. I'm taking Benson off the board right away, and I'm actually going to take Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway off the board right now. That leaves Xavier Bourgault and Raphael Lavoie. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I know there's a lot of trade or a lot of market value right now in a guy like Xavier Bourgault. Fair enough, I agree. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I do not let go of Xavier Bourgault. I'm sorry, I just don't. He has an unbelievable upside, a great hockey IQ, is fantastic in the other teams, and really, really brings value to the Edmonton Oilers, will be a top 6 NHLer very soon. Genuinely, I believe that. So I'm not moving Xavier Bourgault unless you're getting a very, very key player in return. That leaves Raphael Lavoie. Now, I can hear a lot of people with the recency bias going, no, not Lavoie. He's just finally developing. Exactly. If he's just finally developing, then his cost or his market value has never been higher. And if he just starts to plateau, then his value won't ever be higher. If he does get better, well, then, hey, there you go. He got better. That's exactly it. But my biggest thing with Raphael Lavoie since I started watching him in his draft year as a 17-year-old is I'm not sure how his game will translate to the NHL. We have seen that really recently in the AHL, but we have seen that start to develop into a pro game. Hopefully, for Raphael Lavoie's sake, he can continue to develop, but for the Edmonton Oilers, they don't really have the time to wait and see. I'm tossing Raphael Lavoie in this deal. I would make this deal Warren Fogle, a 2023 first, a 2024 first, and Raphael Lavoie for Jakob Chychrun and Nick Bjugstad. I add Bjugstad because the Edmonton Oilers have already lost Jesse Puljujarvi. Bjugstad is not too much for the Coyotes to toss in there. Now, I know there's probably going to be a market as well for Bjugstad, so they can put him in a different deal and get more trade value. But I'm thinking you're getting a prospect. You're getting 2 first-round picks and a player in this deal. I feel like that's a little fair. The only reason why I also add Lavoie in this deal is basically because, again, he's a second-round pick, not as much value as a Bourgault, so you can say you added a prospect, but it's still a work in progress. So what do you think? Is that too much of an overpay? I can see why. That's fair enough. But let me know what you think. Do you think that's a fair deal? Would you do that deal on either side? Let me know. Let's move on to the last 9 games for the Edmonton Oilers and why it has been basically the reason why the Oilers need a Jakob Chychrun now instead of a Gavrikov or Joel Edmondson, or continue on why. And some of the numbers as to why the Edmonton Oilers have been so good may shock you. We will talk about that in just a second, but first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We are really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they are the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that is even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. Now, we've talked a lot about football recently. I want to kind of change gears here and take a look at hockey on FanDuel. Now, the Edmonton Oilers are the obvious favorites right now going into Philadelphia tomorrow night, but I was looking through at some of the goal scorers, and for a Matthias Janmark goal, it is currently sitting for over 0.5 goals. So basically, for him to score 1 goal, it sits at plus 520. Seems like free money to me. I don't know. Either way, the FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. And best of all, you can get your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Alrighty, let's quit looking ahead here for the Edmonton Oilers and let's look in the past for the Edmonton Oilers, and more specifically the past 9 games, as the Edmonton Oilers are 8-0-1 in their last 9 games. They're 8-0-1 since that tough loss to the Los Angeles Kings in Los Angeles. However, some people may take a look at that game and go, a little bit of a turning point. As the Edmonton Oilers in that game, yes, they lost, but they fought that game through. They were a tough team to play against. They tried to bounce back every single time they could. Got great goaltending. Well, got a little bit... you know what? I'll say it was good goaltending. Stuart Skinner was pulled in that game, but he still had 21 saves, and Jack Campbell came in and really steadied the ship for the Edmonton Oilers for the rest of that game. And since then, the Edmonton Oilers have been near unstoppable. As mentioned, 8-0-1 in that run. But why? Well, I was taking a look over the last 9 games at some of the advanced stats and what has really stood out for the Edmonton Oilers. First of all, it has been their play at 5-on-5. Their play at 5-on-5 has been fantastic. We will go through the numbers in just a second as to why it has really been fantastic, but the Edmonton Oilers have been great. The second thing has also been their special teams play. Their special teams play has dramatically increased to the point where you might be surprised where everybody knows where the power play is, but that penalty kill, might be shocking to you. We'll talk about that in a second as well. But it's also the players not named Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl who have stepped up for the Edmonton Oilers. We take a look at the goals for and goals against per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. And the top 5 players in each stat category are pretty shocking. So we will round out the section or the second period of today's show. There we go on that. But let's start off with their team 5-on-5 play. The team at 5-on-5 with goals for per 60 minutes has been fantastic. The last 9 games, the Edmonton Oilers sit first in the NHL with a 4.43, which is over the team that is currently above them. Their differential between the two of them is sitting at a 1.12. Almost a full goal, 0.12 more than the team below them at 5-on-5. The Edmonton Oilers are outscoring every team in the NHL by at the very least, a goal per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Before January 8th, the Edmonton Oilers sat 11th in the NHL. The last 9 games, first. They also had, going to the goals against per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. The Edmonton Oilers currently sit in 13th in the NHL with goals against per 60 minutes, which initially you may go, that's not very impressive. The Edmonton Oilers on the season sit 17th in goals against per 60 minutes. And before January 8th, the Edmonton Oilers were 22nd. 22nd. They have jumped almost 10 spots over the last 9 games in goals against per 60 minutes. That is fantastic 5-on-5 numbers. And that is, again, as a team. Now, we can even go further with the goals against. The expected goals against for the Edmonton Oilers per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 is at a 2.29, which would put them at second. Would put them at third in the NHL, jumping the gun a little bit, would put them third in the NHL at expected goals against per 60 minutes, which is fantastic. That means their play in their own end has been shut down enough where the numbers say that most of the goals or shot attempts that are fired towards the Edmonton Oilers have been low quality. That is what you need to see in your defense specifically to see success throughout the stretch of the season. A couple of extra numbers here. The shooting percentage for the Edmonton Oilers currently sits second in the NHL with a 10.89, and their face-off differential at 5-on-5 sits ninth in the NHL. Now, we all know the Edmonton Oilers have had some issues with face-offs here and there, but the fact that they currently sit in ninth in face-off differential means, A, they're in the top third in face-off differential in the NHL, but that means the Edmonton Oilers are starting the possession off with, the Oilers are starting the face-off with possession. There we go. That's where we're going with that. If you have the puck, the other team doesn't, and that means you're more likely to win the game. Let's move on to their special teams now. The Edmonton Oilers, we all know the Edmonton Oilers power play is absolutely fantastic, on pace to be the greatest power play of all time. But over the last 9 games, the Edmonton Oilers have a 17.14 goals for per 60 minutes on the power play, which obviously sits first. But it's the penalty kill that has been really pulling their weight. On the penalty kill, the Edmonton Oilers goals against per 60 minutes sits at a 2.46. 2.46. That is absolutely insane, to the point where the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill currently sits first in goals against per 60 minutes. First! Even I was shocked taking a look at that. The Edmonton Oilers penalty kill, especially with the addition of a guy like Vincent Desharnais, has been lights out. Nearly impossible to play against, and that is the type of game the Edmonton Oilers need to play. We have seen the numbers at 5-on-5, but once the Edmonton Oilers went down, especially, the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill was not great. But the Edmonton Oilers, as of the last 9 games, has been the best power play in the NHL. The best. That is nothing to scoff at. And now why? Why? But it is because of the players who are going out there and giving it a full 60 minutes. So, at 5-on-5, the goals for per 60 minutes, the top 5 players go like this. Zach Hyman, which probably doesn't shock you considering the heater he's been on, but these next 2 might. In second place for goals for per 60 minutes is Philip Broberg at 6.71. Third is Evan Bouchard at 5.84. Then in fourth, is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at 5.68. And then it's Connor McDavid. Notice I didn't say Leon Draisaitl there. Leon Draisaitl isn't in the top 5 for the Edmonton Oilers in goals for per 60 minutes at 5-on-5. Let's go to the 5-on-5 numbers for goals against per 60 minutes. At 5-on-5, goals against per 60 minutes, on top, Derek Ryan with 0.56. Then, Dylan Holloway at 1.05. Jay Woodcroft said that Dylan Holloway's ice time would depend on the way he plays in his own end. We'll take a look at how he's playing in his own end. One of the best players in his own end right now. Matthias Janmark is third with a 1.08. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is fourth with a 1.29. And then Vincent Desharnais, a 1.29 as well, tied for fourth on the Edmonton Oilers in goals against per 60 minutes. The Edmonton Oilers are getting contributions not only from Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, Dylan Holloway, Matthias Janmark, Vincent Desharnais, Philip Broberg, Evan Bouchard. You can go on and on and on and on and on of the guys who are contributing to the Edmonton Oilers, not named Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl. And that is where the Edmonton Oilers are winning their games over their last 9. The Edmonton Oilers look to improve to 9-0-1 in their last 10 games as they head off to Philadelphia tomorrow night for 5 o'clock puck drop in Philly. Do you think the Edmonton Oilers can do it, especially looking at those numbers? I don't know. Let's wrap up today's episode with the ghost of Oilers past. And as mentioned, this ghost made the ultimate sacrifice on the ice in the playoffs for the Philadelphia Flyers, not the Edmonton Oilers. There's your little extra hint. We will talk about that in just a second. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat but don't want all of the fat and calories? Well, then you gotta try Built Bar. Look, we're just making it through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier. I don't know if you can hear that, but that is my tummy. It is a big tummy. And if you don't want to compromise taste just like me, then you gotta try Built Bar. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they are so delicious you won't think they are good for you. And it's perfect for your New Year's resolution. It is February. Let's see if you're following along with that. But what makes Built Bar so good? For starters, it is covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, real chocolate. Plus, they make so many undeniably delicious flavors, such as churro. Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking of the churro now. I have to wipe my mouth. I think I'm starting to drool. They have churro, they have peanut butter brownie, they have coconut almond. They have so many delicious flavors with Built Bar. I don't know how they do it, but these Built Bars taste exactly like a candy bar, all while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is they are healthy. Only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, with a whopping 17 grams of protein. All of this is good for you, all with Built Bars. You can find Built Bars in all of their delicious flavors over at Built.com. Alrighty, let's wrap up today's episode with the ghost of Oilers past. And this ghost, as mentioned, lost something quite valuable to him while blocking a shot in the playoffs. This guy, actually, it might have been just before the playoffs. I think I said it was the playoffs. It might have been like a couple of games before. It might have been the playoffs, though. But it was when he was playing with the Philadelphia Flyers. And this player also became the 5th Norwegian player to play in the NHL, but the first to do it without being drafted. All right, the gig is up. The ghost of Oilers past for today's episode is Patrick Thornton. How many of y'all remember Patrick Thornton? 85 games played with the Edmonton Oilers, 6 goals, 13 assists, 19 points in his career as an Edmonton Oiler. He also accumulated 58 penalty minutes. What a time he had for the Edmonton Oilers. And I was shocked, to be honest with you. He played with the Oilers from 2006 through to 2008 and had a pretty good year in 2006-2007, signing with the Edmonton Oilers on May 31st, 2006 from Djurgården over in Sweden, where he actually scored in 80 games, 27 goals, 26 assists, 53 points. Ended up earning a spot with the Edmonton Oilers out of training camp. Even Craig McTavish said he was very impressed with Patrick Thornton. And that season, he would go on to score 4 goals, 12 assists, 16 points, all with 52 penalty minutes in 68 games. His first NHL goal coming on October 12th, 2006 against the San Jose Sharks on, can you guess who it was? San Jose Sharks. 2006. Evgeny Nabokov. Yes, Evgeny Nabokov. Shout out Evgeny Nabokov. I know Tretiak wore 20 way back in the day, but Nabokov was one of the first goalies for me that I saw wear number 20, and I thought, why would you wear number 20? Radek Dvorak wears that number. Anyways, yes, his first NHL goal came on Evgeny Nabokov, and again, he would play up until 2008 with the Edmonton Oilers. In his final year with the Oilers, 17 games played, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. However, on February 22nd, 2008, the Edmonton Oilers would place Patrick Thornton on waivers, and he would be picked up by the Philadelphia Flyers, where in 21 games played, he would get 5 assists, no goals, 5 points, and would even get into 14 playoff games with the Flyers that year. 14 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists. Now, as mentioned with the Flyers, he would go down to block a shot I'm nearly 100% sure this happened in the playoffs, if memory does serve me right. If you do, if you can correct me, please do. But Thornton went down to block a shot, and Thornton blocked it in, the family jewels. And Patrick Thornton would then have to be rushed to hospital, where he would have to get one of his testicles removed by blocking a shot. Yeah. Kind of what Patrick Thornton would be remembered for in his NHL career. However, after that year in 2008, he would return to Europe and play in Switzerland, where he would play a season in Lugano, getting 48 games played, 22 goals, 41 assists, 63 points in 48 games. He would then go on to play in the KHL for 307 games, accumulating 121 goals, 172 assists, 293 points in 307 games for Patrick Thornton in the KHL. He would also get 262 penalty minutes. Who is this guy? Who is this player that the Edmonton Oilers never got? I don't understand. He would then go and play a season in Zurich as well in 50 games. He would play 50 games, get 18 goals, 27 assists, 45 points. He would then end kind of his professional career of sorts in the KHL with St. Petersburg in 2017-2018, only playing 15 games. But I did find that Patrick Thornton is still playing hockey at the age of 39. He is currently the captain of his boyhood club in Norway by the name of Storhamar, which I'm 100% sure I am butchering. But so far this year, he has 40 games played, 15 goals, wait for it, 35 assists, good for 50 points in 40 games. He is on pace for, I believe, 56. They currently have 5 games left in their season. I am shocked. He has played 6 seasons for them so far and has been a captain for 5 of them. I think that might be one of the shocking stories of the ghost of Oilers past. What do you think? Do you remember Patrick Thornton? Either way, let's wrap it up there. The Edmonton Oilers are off to play Thornton's former Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow night. As mentioned, 5 o'clock puck drop in Philadelphia. The Edmonton Oilers look to improve to 9-0-1 in the last 10 games and 18-4 on the season. Until then, hopefully you're still on the high from yesterday, and all the way through today, you played La Bamba, baby.